Animated ripoff movies. Animated ripoff movies are definitely an interesting phenomenon. You take a movie people like and it's very popular and everyone's watching it and make it look like shit. Yeah, obviously, animated ripoffs have been around for decades. They aren't really going anywhere. But mainly a lot of the more popular ones stem from the last 20 to 30 years, like A Cars Life, Ratatouille, and everyone else's favorite, Happy Toes. Truly, peak cinema over here. Now, yeah, they're very infamous for just looking like shit, but honestly, my opinion, I think a lot of them are boring. I think my problem with a lot of the more infamous ones like Ratatouille is that so many of them just feel like the same movie. The problem with a lot of these bad animated movies is that if you've seen one of them, you've seen them all. Which is funny, a lot of their plots are just so different. But it's always a lot of the same voice actors, same style, same animation. Like, yeah, sure. I can mention how like movies like Ratatouille have the voice actors for Amy and Dr. Zionist over here. Which, I mean, hey, a job is a job, I guess. But I feel like it would just be repeating a dead horse. That's not all the case for every single ripoff movie, though. Which is about the animated Titanic trilogy.
I'm king of the world! Oh no! The ship's hit a Dinkelberg!
Yeah, so today we're not covering just one movie, but 3 whole movies, and all of them from the Titanic. And what's interesting about these movies is that they're all ripoffs of the live-action one from 1997. I think it's very interesting because it stands out from other ripoffs. As there were ripoffs of animated movies, as with these were ripoffs of a live-action movie. And also especially for The Legend of the Titanic and its sequel, as it loses its fucking mind. Like, seriously, there's a reason I find these just way more memorable than something like Ratatouille. I mean, this doesn't magically mean they're good, but hey, they're interesting. But first, let's talk about the original Titanic. You know, the one in 1997. And that film that grossed like $1 billion, by the way, or something or whatever. And while yes, it's based off a real tragedy, it's also a metaphor of life in a way. The Titanic represents you having a good day, and the iceberg represents, well, Twitter. You know, whenever I look at anything from the Gacha Grill, I'm kind of glad I'm only stuck to these 2 gacha games, really. Okay, but enough dicking around, let's get this shit started. The first one we're covering is The Legend of Titanic, released back in 1999. This was also made in Italy, which keep this in mind because it's going to be very irrelevant when we're talking about Titanic, The Legend goes on. And this movie is, batshit fucking insane. Like, you start in the beginning and then you get hit by, hey guys, people died on the Titanic and whatever. And then this old fuck pretty much says, nah. Like, the film starts out pretty average after that weird intro with a bunch of talking animals here, some whalers there, and also there's a guy with like 12,000 names there.
Must be kept on a leash. My good man, you happen to be addressing Don Juan Tenorio de Ariarte Gonzalez Leon, Prince of Andalusia. But Prince does not travel with animals, you imbecile.
Why do you get so personally offended? He only asked to keep the dog on a damn leash. Then when we hit the 20-minute mark, the movie just goes off rails. I know I keep saying that, but when you see a movie where there's fucking magical moon tears, a gang of sharks causing the fucking Titanic to sink and the iceberg to happen, an octopus with a fucking dog's face for some reason, that same octopus coming in to save everyone, and also a bunch of fucking whales coming to help everyone too, and everyone survived, even the fucking one character which is like this giant rat dude happened to die and now he's alive somehow. Yeah, that happens in the fucking movie. Yeah, it's no fucking wonder why this movie garnered infamy on the internet. A premise like that along with the fucking Titanic is kinda crazy to do. Now, does it make this movie pretty distasteful? Well, yeah, no shit, absolutely is. I mean, saying all those people didn't actually really die on the Titanic is kind of fucking wild to do, not gonna lie. But is this movie pretty forgettable? Fuck no. I mean, like, no way this is gonna be a film I'm gonna forget for the rest of my life. Seriously, this movie is batshit insane, and I really like batshit insanity. So does this magically mean I think this movie is secretly good?
No!
If we take all the absurdness out of the picture, it's still not a very good movie. Like, first off, again, the elephant in the room, using a real life tragedy and making it being a way of, oh, no one actually died on that Titanic was, again, kind of insane. I get it, not everybody's gonna be super accurate to every historical story, but I mean, like, there's taking liberties and then there's just denying historical facts. There's just a lot of plot lines just going around here in this movie. Like the whales, the dolphins, the sharks, the whaler guy, the romance, the fucking shit, all this over. Although they weirdly connected well in the end of the movie, so I guess I can't really complain that much. The romance between Elizabeth and the guy with 6 names also just have no chemistry. They have 1 or 2 lines of dialogue together, and then they immediately declare they're in love now, yay. The whaler guy also is just so fucking boring as an antagonist. He's just like, I want to hunt whales because that will make me rich because I'm evil. This is Elizabeth's dumbass father, who goes from, you're marrying the whaler character and you're gonna like it whether you like it or not or whatever, to, oh, my sweet daughter, I would never have fucking done that. Never, ever. Also, the whole whale shit in this movie is kind of weird. There's nothing wrong with having a discussion about hunting whales, but it feels so out of place inside a movie about the fucking Titanic. The audio in this movie is also just pretty weird. I don't know what's happening with the microphones, but they just sound off.
Listen, you can't just give in like that. This game isn't even in the second half yet. You've gotta fight.
Of course I'm going to fight. Now I know you two are on my side. We can foil Everard and help those poor whales
You
too.
can count on us.
But despite everything, I still think this film is extremely entertaining. Mainly, again, of all the fucking batshit absurdness about this. And I guess it kind of makes this film a bit more entertaining in that. So, did you guys think The Legend of the Titanic was a bit too kind of batshit insane? Well, did you want to be even more batshit insane? Technically, came out 5 years after the original movie, and instead of featuring the Titanic, it's now featuring fucking Atlantis. Well, I guess there's nothing wrong with starting about some positives about the film. The audio actually sounds better.
All right, never mind, leave it. At least the request for help is clear.
I also like the animation too. It's a lot better and visually prettier. Other than that though, this movie is just even more fucking crazier than the original. And not by a bit, no, by a fucking rocket launcher. I mean, other than Atlantis being, well, in this movie about the fucking Titanic, you got walking, talking toys that are just alive for some reason. There are a bunch of mice who want to take some elixir to rule the world along with sharks and that whaler dude from the last movie who has brown hair now. And there's also a one with the racist stereotype. Man, I did not know a Twitter user made this movie. There's elixir that not only makes you breathe underwater, but makes you fucking immortal. Screwdrivers are fucking banned here for some reason. But yet there's an alive, walking, talking, breathing screwdriver here. Oh my god, man, a Twitter user didn't make this movie. They also, for some reason, made a fucking retcon about the very first movie. Apparently, the mouse we saw in the first movie now is stuck in Atlantis in this fucking weird island. This movie is more batshit insane than the original. And I kind of think it's the best one here. Now, well, yes, I think the absurdness is absolutely funny and it just makes this movie kind of entertaining for that. Just like the first film, if we take the absurdness out, it's still not a very good movie. The new rat antagonists are so fucking lame. Granted, the last film's antagonists weren't great either, but I think these guys are just worse. They have this motive wanting to take over the world and sending the fucking octopus to Razor Teeth, who they happen to have connections with along with that fucking whaler dude. And I mean, like, they aren't even remotely threatening, they just want to get the fucking elixir that just got easily switched by the end. And they get the weirdly worst fate out of the three. Like, the sharks get just launched off the air and the fucking whaler dude just gets forgotten about whatever the hell he's doing. While these guys get a fucking lobotomy and they just become, I don't know, wild animal or something. Like, damn, I kind of almost feel bad for these guys I don't really care about. Including this guy over here, he's like, where did my life go wrong? Also, the main two human characters aren't really remotely interesting or do really anything much in this movie. I mean, the only personality trait that the guy with 6 names has is that he's casually way too calm about his kidnapping. And as for Elizabeth, she really does jack shit through this entire movie. You could cut her out from this entire thing and nothing would have changed. Also, speaking of characters that don't really do nothing, Tentaclino himself. Despite being in the name of the fucking title, he just doesn't really do much of the entire movie, which is very interesting because the alternate title, In Search of Titanic, is also not really relevant to the movie. Because yes, while our main characters are underwater to look for the Titanic, they don't really search for it until like near the end of the movie. There's also smaller things like this fucking doll that shows up at the end of the movie and never again. And also that they for some reason decided to retcon the original ending in the first movie, but I don't really care that much. One more thing, after this movie, this does have a TV show which I'm not going to be covering. That's going to be saved for a possible future video. Overall, well, I think this movie is a lot more absurd and kind of more entertaining than the last movie. It's still not a good film when we take the shit out of it. But again, it's the best out of the 3 movies because of how absurd it is. I now present you with a clip of Bob Shack's review of this movie.
Huh. That is very interesting. For this movie to exist at all, there would have to be at least some kind of rudimentary fan base for The Legend of the Titanic. And as sick and disturbing as that fan base no doubt is, I would have really expected them to apply Rule 34 to this particular scene to show us how far it's actually went. And actually, I can't find a single Rule 34 image that applies to this scene. Good for you, fanbase. My faith in humanity isn't entirely shot.
What the fuck possessed you to do that? The last movie of this trilogy is Titanic, The Legend Goes On, which is probably the worst way to name your movie ever. Out of the 3, this is the most famous one of them all. And remember when I said The Legend of Titanic came out in 1999? Well, this film, funny enough, came out in 2000. I've heard people call The Legend of Titanic the ripoff of the ripoff, but ironically enough, it was this movie that fit that title. And surprisingly, it's not the only weird thing similar to this movie. Both films were released in Italy. Both have talking animals, both have a love interest, both have an evil stepmother, and both have a happy ending, although they're way different. I'll get to that in a bit. But to get the elephant out of the room, the rapping dog scene. Which, I mean, I guess it's good to get this out of the way first, because it kind of comes out of nowhere, and unironically, it's probably my favorite scene in the movie. Maybe because the actual song is a banger, though. But what's also very interesting about this movie is that there's kind of 2 different versions of this song.
Party time, it's party time. Everybody's feeling fine 'cause it's party time.
You are? Yes. Go directly to first class. You found the best you can pour in a glass. Drinks are topped on the rocks. Sparkling wine and sweet champagne. Let it blow just like the rain.
Yeah, honestly, that's kind of weird. Especially how nobody ever really talks about this when you ever hear about the rapping dog scene. The scene before that is also placed very weird. Like, the scene before the dog rapping, which is a stupid cat getting the fucking mouse. Yeah, and the version I'm using, it's placed way later on in the movie. Makes me wonder if the one I managed to find online and watch was some weird test beta version. And yet, despite that, that's like the only interesting thing about this movie, because the rest of this film still fucking sucks. First off, problem number 1, there's way too many fucking characters. I mean, you have the love interest, some fucking burglars, an evil stepmother like it's fucking Cinderella, the talking animals, some fucking detective, some rich business dude guy, and it just ends up coming off as so hard to keep track of. The animation also doesn't look good, especially not helped with the editing. Oh my god, the fucking editing.
They're way ahead of us over there, but you never can tell.
Progress, Sir William, progress. One must always be ready to progress. Your humble secretary, even I, could someday become perhaps even your boss. Here, if you don't need me, I think I'll take a stroll around the deck.
You didn't pack our clothes properly, you clumsy girl.
There's also for some reason a, hey, don't you want to know what happened to everybody kind of scene? No, really, I don't care for any of these characters. Overall, yeah, this film sucks. I arguably think it's worse than The Legend of Titanic, which is always ironic because I've always heard that film was worse than this, but I actually think this one was worse than that. Sure, it's nowhere near as distasteful as The Legend of Titanic, but that doesn't matter shit when the rest of the movie's fucking boring. At least The Legend of Titanic could at least be an interesting, batshit absurd film. This is just boring. Overall, these films are weird, they're absurd, but you know what? They're interesting. Regardless how you think about them, they really do stand out from the other famous animated ripoff movies we've seen before. I mean, again, fucking talking whales in a Titanic movie is surely a choice. Like I said before and a million times already in this video, they are bad movies for ripoffs. But in a way, they end up standing out from the other famous ones we've seen. Especially, it's a ripoff of a live-action movie instead of, you know, an animated movie. And yeah, that's all I have for this conclusion. I didn't really write one because I didn't know how to say about this one. Yeah.